joining ranks with the Dietz workers. The first test of will came when company co-owner Hugh Dietz tried to pull out of the company lot. The line was thick and steady. Dietz backed off. But Syracuse police officers came to clear the driveway. This second test of wills got ugly.
Welcome to Eye on Labor. My name is Tony Capitano, and along with my co-host Rich Gelber, we will be presenting a series of shows totally dedicated to the working men and women in America. In the next 30 minutes, we will share with you the trials and triumphs, joy, tears, and setbacks endured by union members and their families throughout the years. It is our hope that these shows will give you, the viewer, a better understanding of unions and the vital role they play in our society. Today, both my guests are union officials from the Communications Workers of America. Donna Conroy, president of Local 1112 from upstate New York.
Hi, Tony.
Hi, Donna. And Richard Halliday, president of Local 1106 from Queens, New York. Thank you both for being here today. I know you have a tough schedule, and we appreciate you taking the time out to be here. I had to research my guests, which is always appropriate and a good thing to do as the host, and I came across the wild side of Donna Conroy.
Donna Conroy of the CWA was arrested for disorderly conduct and released, but the picketers say the police used
Donna, that was a pretty impressive piece of videotape. Got any comments?
But not just another pretty face.
Was that an isolated incident, or did you get arrested?
Well, I've been in a few times, as we say in the trade. No, on a few occasions I have been arrested, but in some cases it provided a much-needed rest.
Well, I don't think you're alone. I was reading a piece in a union paper where it said that Linda Chavez Thompson, the newly elected executive vice president of AFL-CIO, states, "I like to get arrested," and she recently did, while demonstrating on behalf of hotel workers in San Francisco. So although I know that we don't like to get arrested, sometimes it's...
Well, the good news is I usually had a lot of company when I was arrested, and many of us in our local, I would say the vast majority of them, are willing to go to jail for the rights of workers. And some people may think that that's a little bit to the extreme. I personally think that that's the way it should be.
But extremes, if we can talk about extremes, I think Dick Halliday was involved in some form of extremes, maybe on both sides.
Don't be labeling Dick as an extremist.
Well, I've been called worse, but the 1989 NYNEX strike.
Yeah,
you can give us a little,
1989 we were on strike for 4 months, and the issue was characterized as health care. The reason that we went out on strike was for health care. We left the bargaining table and we went out to the streets. And like Donna's people, we had many, many arrests. We had 90 dismissals, career employees, men and women, that their employment was terminated, some of them for 18, 19 months.
Did they get their jobs back?
Yes, they did. We got all 90 were back. All 90 were brought back successfully because of the efforts of every man and woman on the picket line, every union officer, and a brilliant attorney that worked for us. Developed a long-term strategy. Almost 2 years people were out in the street. And we had hundreds and hundreds of people suspended. And in fact, we had a brother who was killed, who was run down on a picket line.
I heard about that.
A young man by the name of Jerry Horgan, who has 2 young children that they'll never know their father because he exercised his right as an American to walk on a picket line. And a management person thought he'd teach his daughter a good summer experience, took a 19-year-old kid and taught her to work and walked through a picket line to become a scab. And she ran Jerry Horgan down. He fell off the hood of a car and he died. He was killed. And that's a part of labor history that people can't forget. Can't forget.
Did you have any serious incidents. I remember looking at some of the footage. People were removed from the picket lines, the locations, handcuffed, and then I saw the pictures of your members in court, shackled. I mean, it was incredible. They were treated like really terrible criminals.
Worse than anybody deserves to be treated. Well, unfortunately, it's part of the territory, and in virtually all the arrests, and I'd venture we probably had somewhere in excess of 100 during the '89 strike alone. We were within our legal rights, and picketing, and the company would say they're in a spot that they shouldn't be in, take them away, for example. But it's part of the job, and it's part. I think the philosophy now is changed, and we talked about this earlier, that people are getting fed up with this corporate greed, and that we are the rebels and we are the bad guys because we are asserting ourselves on behalf of working people all over. The time has come, and I think it's here. You know, people like Rush Limbaugh make our job a lot easier. This mean-spiritedness that the conservatives are espousing now in Congress and on talk shows, it's not only distasteful. It's so mean-spirited that our people are finally not only labor unionists, but workers in general are now getting the message, and the message is clear. You can't have your boss making 100 times more than you do. We can't. It's not. It's so pathetic now that survival of the fittest is transcended to humankind, and we're not human anymore. I don't want to rag on, but it's so disgusting to think that we have people that do not have health care because they're not wealthy enough to have health care. As if it were children's fault that they can't afford to have health care. It's a right. I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm not ashamed to say that I'm a liberal. If that makes me a liberal, so be it. And that's where labor is now, and I think with the new administration, at least I hope, in the AFL-CIO, that's where the AFL-CIO and all of our workers are going to be, to really be out there promoting the welfare of everybody, whether you're unionized or not unionized. So I see a trend.
Tony, I just want to make a comment then. That footage that you saw about Donna, that was not Donna's bargaining unit that she was standing there and got arrested ultimately for. She was there as a trade unionist to support another labor union, a plant that was closing down, where people are being victimized. And as a trade union activist that she is, she stood the line, and she was taken away and cuffed. And I think that's what trade union people and working men and women have to do. What we're talking about, a lot of it, is the erosion of the middle class in this country today. It's really becoming class warfare. If you look at what happened in the 30s and the New Deal, people were brought together. Their commonality was poverty, need, lack of health care, housing, adequate medical attention. That cycle is reappearing now. I think the things that you see in the streets, the things that create human rights issues, labor people and union people, good trained unionists, not labor people that make $400,000 a year as the president of a union, not someone that's in city government that makes $280,000 a year. That obscenity is as bad as the obscenity, as Donna talks about, a CEO that makes $5-6 million a year, when men and women who do the actual productive online work after they retire can't afford health care, housing, they can't afford their homes, they can't afford medicine, they have to make decisions to migrate and leave areas that they raise their children. This is an issue that not only affects working men and women, it affects society in general and our future, the future of our children, our communities. It's a more serious issue than many people want to even look at or deal with.